we can get started here. So I'm the host, Baby Soft, for tonight. Good evening, afternoon, and morning. Greetings to everybody. We're really honored at Hong Kong Voice tonight to be having Mr. Songpo with us. Just a little background about what we're going to go over is communism and China infiltration in Taiwan. And just a little background about Mr. Songpo. He is a political analyst, a prominent lawyer, and a chairman of the Taiwan Hong Kong Association. So, our honor to have you. I'm really pleased to have you here tonight. We have about 8 different questions, but those will be, I guess, addressed by Mr. Shampo. If you want me to go over some of those, we could. If not, then without further ado, I will hand the mic over to Mr. Shampo. And again, thank you for all the speaker. There will be a question and answer session in the last 30 minutes of this discussion. So please pass the questions to our moderator, Joseph or Mariana. So here we go.
Hello, everybody. This is Sampu here, and so I'm very glad to be here to join this clubhouse today. And I think this is my first time. Okay, one of the first times that I've been speaking about this topic in English. So I'm not a native English speaker. So if you have any question, then you can ask me if you can hear me very clearly. Okay. So I would like to talk about the CCP infiltration about Taiwan here in this session. So if I'm going for too long, so stop me right on the way, okay? And I would say, why is Taiwan so important in terms of CCP infiltration? The answer is very simple, because the CCP sees Taiwan as part of China, and they have a sovereignty claim against Taiwan. And that's so critical because of the proximity and because of the kind of a claim by CCP against Taiwan about the sovereignty scope. So that's so different for the situation between Taiwan and other countries in the world. And of course, after the demise of Hong Kong, and Taiwan has become the most shining point, the point that CCP would like to make sure that they would like to unify, okay, by whatever means in the near future. And that's the reason why they have infiltration here. And the tactic, their magnitude, and their scope of influence are unprecedented. Of course, in Canada, in America, and also in the UK and Australia, they've used similar tactics. But I think the tactics that have been used in Taiwan are very grave, and also you can see, I would list out 8 dimensions that CCP has adopted to infiltrate into Taiwan. Okay, one of the latest articles that we have seen is an article published by Andrew Nathan, and he is a professor in the Columbia University, and he said about it's not just sharp power, it is about he talks about the infiltration of CCP in Taiwan and Hong Kong, and he lists out five dimensions, namely election, economy, media, entertainment, and also religion. And also, this article was co-authored by Andrew Nathan and also by Wu Jianmin, who is a professor in Taiwan. And what the CCP has done to infiltrate into Taiwan has been classified about the external kind of coercion, and also about the internal infiltration and a hybrid model between external and internal. And I think this has been well published. As mentioned by Lenin, who is the founder of the USSR, okay, Lenin has mentioned that for whatever tactic that the communists would do is to break through one country, one system from inside out, okay, from the inside part of the castle. So that's what they have done. And according to some unofficial statistics, there have been more than 5,000 communist CCP spies in Taiwan. And you can see um, there have been more than 100 cases, court cases, having been sued in Taiwan in the last 15 years. So you can see a lot of kind of CCP and Taiwan kind of struggle on this part. And there have been why they think Taiwan is important, why they need to infiltrate into Taiwan. Four main reasons. Number one is that they feel that Taiwan has a separatism from China. Okay, you can see Hong Kong. They will see Hong Kong as a place that it cannot be tamed. They cannot be um, conquered by China. Within the last 20 plus years, Hong Kong people have established a comparatively separate system from the mainland China. So you can see a lot of education, our language, our tax, our law are different. Okay, so it's more for Taiwan because we have our soldiers, we have our military army. Okay, and we also have our own system here in Taiwan that's totally separated from China. And we can see if there's a separatism which is continuous, then the CCP does not want to see. The second reason is because of the internal struggle, power struggle of different factions within CCP. They do not want to see any anti-C faction to use Taiwan as a chip to um, to win over the other the Xi Jinping's faction. So you can see Xi Jinping is afraid of losing the power, especially before the 20th conference of 2022 this year, in later part of this year. So this is very important for them. The third part is because of they are afraid of the kind of separatism and also kind of democracy and free way of living influencing the people, the citizens in China. And they do not want to see those in China to be awakened and enlightened by Taiwan's democracy and freedom. And the third part is because of the foreign powers and also foreign countries might use Taiwan as a chip, as a leverage to exert pressure against CCP. I think these are the four main reasons why they are doing so much infiltration into Taiwan. But I would say there are 8 dimensions, 8 angles to see into the problem. That is the infiltration by CCP into Taiwan. The first dimension, okay, I will list out one by one. The first dimension is about the military side. Okay, for the military side, there have been a lot of infiltration by CCP against Taiwan. On 20th of December last year, the Reuters have published a long article. The title is T-Day, the Battle for Taiwan. In this article, it's mentioned that Taiwan is now facing a continuous kind of China spies activism, a kind of war launched by CCP. The motive by the CCP are threefold. One is to uh, collect some Taiwanese national security plan, the details of the plan. Okay, is for preparation of any war which might be launched against Taiwan. So it's about military kind of uh, intelligence collection. Okay. Number two is to uh, in a secret way to get rid of and also to headhunt. The name is headhunt the the uh, the leader of Taiwan and also to not just their life but also their kind of dignity, their reputation, and to make sure that they will shake the reputation of the leadership and also the power of those who are now presiding Taiwan. Number three is to corrode the kind of military incentive of those who are really fighting for Taiwan. They want these soldiers to be really shaken, that they have a kind of recognition or identity to be standing together with China in the long run, and to make sure that unification is in their head. They think unification can make a more prosperous China, okay, which means that China includes Taiwan, and they want this kind of idea to be free flowing within the military in Taiwan. So this is the threefold reason. And in the last 10 years, there have been at least 21 colonels. Uh, Either they are on duty or they are retired. They are being recognized by the Taiwanese officials or the courts as the espionage, as the spies of China. And at least 9 of them are being tried and investigated. And they are being tried because of being employed and engaged by CCP as spies in Taiwan and to collect sensitive information for the CCP. And you can see the way to do it is the CCP spies always use small gifts, meals, or entertainment to soften and weaken the kind of esteem of the people here in the soldiers, the army in Taiwan, and especially there have been a lot of people who are being um, used to as a kind of uh, a kind of examples that they really follow the CCP. For example, back in November 2016, I think there are lots of colonels. I think more than 37 retired army soldiers, and these are old-fashioned soldiers. They are more inclined to believe in the unification of China. They were invited into Beijing, okay, and to appear before Xi Jinping in the people's in the city hall of China. And in this hall, the People's Hall of China, they were being invited and to sing the national song of the CCP, and also to stand up, okay, when the song is being orchestrated, and also they are being asked to really listen to what the Xi Jinping has been saying up in the stage on the stage, okay, and that's the thing that many people like Xu Linong, Wu Sihuai, okay, Chen Tingchong, these are the people who are being invited to be there, and they use these people, and especially Wu Sihuai is now one of the member of the Legislative Yuan in Taiwan. Is one of the congressmen, okay, and you can see the situation is very very awkward. And secondly, the CCP would also like to grow their own people within the army or within the military side of Taiwan. And you can see they want to steal and want to get the intelligence information about Taiwan's defense plan and some communications passcode and also ammunition's location, and also to um, provoke those people to refuse any war, any fighting that might may happen if the war is launched, and also to mislead these soldiers and to ask them to really to get over to China and to swing to the other side, or even to be as a spy there, okay, and to only um, exert their influence when there is a need to do so. So they want to be coverage, the cover up, and they want to swim under the water and to do the things in a secret way. Okay, and also there have been a lot of cases that the Taiwanese have been pushing forward to ask these soldiers to not to be, appear in the Beijing situation, but the fine there was and is very lenient. It is only about 10,000 new Taiwan dollars, around 360K US dollars fine is the maximum fine. and also to take away and forfeit their pension funds. But if you compare what's the advantage that the CCP would give to these people, is only a peppercoin. It's really very, very small amount. And you will see this kind of fine and penalty are far more lenient, and also it's not just lenient, but it's weak and incompetent to counteract against the situation here for the people. And there are many cases appearing in Taiwan that we will see blue, okay, blue, gold, and yellow to conquer against those people in the soldiers. Blue means they use the persuasion that how the propaganda is being done. For example, a unified China can bring more money to you and your family, and how the KMT and DPP, which is Kuomintang and also Minjindang, they are not doing their own job to really take care of you. But CCP now are caring about how you are doing. This is what they are doing. Is blue. It's the kind of ideology and also a way of speaking to persuade you in your head. Yellow means they use some of those you will see the lust, okay, and also how the different sects, okay, and to make sure that you are trapped by those people. They can set different people to lure you to really have some engagement with those affairs, and they either want to lure your heart or even to take videos or photos of what you have done secretly in a hotel and to make some coercion against you after you have done so. And the third thing is about gold. Gold means really gold, okay? And you can see cash as a kind of way. They may be gifts, they may be entertainment for you and your family, for meals, the golf course, and even invite you to visit those people in China in a very luxurious manner. And these three ways to do it are very, I think the last thing is very easy. And many people can be done by giving them money and even then benefits that they do not deserve. So that's the reason why they do it. You can see one of the kind of bodyguard of the ex-president Li Denghui called Sun Hanfang, and also the current for the current president Tsai Ing-wen, they have a kind of bodyguard in their in the office of the presidential unit of Taiwan called Wang Wenyan. They are being sued and disclosed and sued that they are disclosing and some secret personal information about the bodyguard unit officers of the presidential office of Taiwan, namely the name, address, and also public phone numbers. So these people are being sued. And so you can see the infiltration is up to the level for the people beside the presidential unit. And the problem of Taiwan is their laws are not complete, their penalties are lenient, and also the judicial investigation, their intelligence collection power are limited, and also the lenient attitude of the government officials against these activities. So it's a tragedy in such a mode, okay? Number one. And secondly, there's a famous case being discussed last year called Xie Xizhang case. Xie Xizhang is a conjured up Hong Kong businessman. He's used the so-called identity as a Hong Kong businessman to visit Taiwan starting from 1997. And this Xie Xizhang has built up a web of influence and also CCP influenced people in Taiwan within the army and within the navy, especially the navy official called Zhang Peining, okay, and also paid Zhang Peining and also his family travel expenses to spend here, and several thousands of cash, and also silk, and also belts. Okay, it's a very very cheap thing, but they can really lure these people and buy their heart. It's not just the money; it's to buy their heart that they are being welcomed. There are many old soldiers in Taiwan. They were abandoned by the KMT and also not too recognized by the DPP. And only CCP can give them some hope. And even you can give some small prizes and small gifts to them, and they will be very, very happy to accept it. They feel that their life, their glory can be recognized by CCP, their enemy. Okay, and this Xie Xizang was affiliated with the Guangzhou Liaison Office of the Political Work Office of the CCP Military Commission, and also with the Zhang Zeping, okay, and also this affiliation was really one of the intelligence units within the CCP army, okay, because the army is directly affiliated with CCP, and you can see there's a former military department deputy head who is also a president over the National Security University called Zhang Zeping. And this Zhang Zeping has opened up a students' association of Huangpu Military Training School. And you can see they used these people to infiltrate into the Air Force, okay, called Chen Xiaohua. They use golf courses to let Chen Xiaohua to meet with the national security officials of China. So these people are very, very deep inside the military service. Nowadays, I would say you look at the CCP, there have been intelligence unit in all the Dang Zhengjun, which means the party, the government, and also the army. Okay, the Dang, they have their own intelligence service to infiltrate. So these three kind of source of intelligence kind of power are separate and all belong to under the control of the Xi Jinping camp. And you see, they have used different ways to intra and inter controlled and also monitored with each other. And they would exert their own power quite separately. So it's quite a complicated system by the CCP system to infiltrate into these units. So that's number one, the military thing. The second thing is about the academy and also the school education. For the teaching side, there's the professor side. CCP has infiltrated recently, being disclosed into the Tsinghua University. You can see there is a Tsinghua University in Beijing, and there's also a Tsinghua University in Taiwan. There have been rumors or even real news spread the news that people really want to rename the Tsinghua University of Beijing into Xi Jinping University nowadays, okay? But that's for China. And there's really a good Tsinghua University in Hsinchu in Taiwan. And CCP infiltrated into the Tsinghua University campsite, and also they established an institution which is called Tsinghua Cross-Strait Research Institution, 清华海峡研究院. And this research institution has a Chinese official background back in 2015. And also this kind of infiltration, the purpose is twofold. One is to steal some critical technological intelligence and also secret, confidential information and data, especially those know-how that they can really steal rather than to buy it. Okay, so because of this Taiwan University is close to the Hsinchu Science Park, so it's a very top one priority. They want to steal things, especially when the UCTSMC is now recognized as the top chip provider, chip manufacturer in the world. It takes up more than 50% of the market share of the whole world. And so I think this is one of the key target for the China. The second thing is to really infiltrate into the campus. So you will see they are they were unauthorized by the relevant authorities and also to on their own to rent offices in the campus of Tsinghua University and to establish some branch offices. And nowadays, there have been a joint force by the Taiwanese Education Bureau also the China Bureau and also the Economic Bureau as to launch an administrative investigation as to these people. And the maximum fine against it is very awkward. It's only 500K new Taiwan dollars. It's really a small kind of popcorn that they want to spare. So if you can see, if uh, the lenient penalty are going on and relying on the laws of Taiwan are so lenient, this will not have any deterrence effect against these activities. So we need to encourage and also um, call for a step up of the Taiwanese government, both in the legislature and on the administration, to take action to tighten the screw. Nowadays, there have been a lot of people swinging and waving the flags of CCP and or the PRC in the Ximending or other areas of Taiwan. And many people see this as a free way of expression of their political views. But look, this flag reflects a regime who has sovereignty claim against Taiwan, and they would even have a kind of military threat against Taiwan. It's not easy. Imagine, can you wave a flag of the Nazi regime in Germany? Okay, can you wave a flag of this kind of thing in other places of the world? It's unimaginable. But nowadays they are cooked up in the disguise of freedom of expression. So this has been a problem for Taiwan, and many people have all these activities like in the military and education field. They were not penalized very easily. Even if they were investigated, they were fined. And also, some were jailed, especially those who are really on duty and existing military official. They will be jailed. But if they are retired, then the penalty against them are very weak. And also those who are not serving the military. And I will tell you some political figures and even businessmen. If they are not in the military field, they will not be penalized by jail. They can be fined, blacklisted, and that's it. And they cannot deport those citizens away from Taiwan if they are Taiwan nationals. So this is a really weak kind of political reactions against these people. So namely, number two is about the education side. Number three is about the media and also about the propaganda. We have a word called infiltration with no feeling. You cannot recognize that there's an infiltration. And this is a low war launch, I would say, gray zone kind of tactic. Gray means they are not peace and they are not war. Peace depicted by white, okay? War depicted by black, and this in between called gray zone war or gray zone kind of tactic. They are now localized. For the propaganda and media, there have been lots of KOLs in Taiwan, okay? And these are Chinese CCP's agents. There is one called Sida. They have Sida, okay, Heida. And this, I would say, Sida is open up a podcast or even a media in Taiwan, and they use pure and perfect Taiwanese language, local Taiwanese language, to speak about their propaganda. They can even launch program. Okay, this program is like they are setting up a program in a very weird way. For example, there are two parts of the program, 1 hour. In the first 30 minutes, there will be one speaking about the music of Taiwan, very brilliant, is perfectly okay. And the second part of the opinion, they invited one called Lu Jia, Lou Ga. You can see Luke, okay? This Luke person is speaking in Fujian, okay? They use the podcast and also the communication system to speak for the Jinjiang 电视台真光电视台 the Jinjiang TV station of Fujian, and they speak about how they praise Hanguo how they praise different figures who are more inclined to support CCP than the existing political regime. So you see, they, in a very discreet way, to really plan the program well, and also use people who can speak the mother tongue of the Taiwanese people. And this has created a lot of influence upon the election. I will talk about the election later. And somehow you can see a lot of China in some celebrities who are inclined to embrace the China, like Zhang Junling, okay, like Wang An, like you can see Liu Leyan, okay, and also recently being investigated for tax evasion, like Zhang Ting and Lin Ruiyang. These people are speaking in the CCP for a lot of things that they wave the flags and also to be asked by CCP regime to do the necessary before they can really earn a big chunk in China. And they are also broadcasting the kind of 天下主义. It is about the kind of CCP and the ancient China awakened to conquer the world kind of thing of an ideology to really launch an information war against Taiwan. And also in the past, there's in the past there have been Zhou Enlai, who is one of the leaders in China. His wife is called Deng Yinchao. Deng Yinchao has spoken in the past, saying that for the work of CCP against Taiwan, we must be very, very, very tense and also sophisticated, and we need to infiltrate very intensively into Taiwan. We need to spin against Taiwan very effectively, but you cannot put a spin into the skin of Taiwan and to make sure that no blood will be pouring out, which means that they want a feelingness that you can infiltrate into Taiwan in a very discreet manner. And you can see many scholars and students, they want to encourage people to believe that Taiwanese soldiers are only paper tigers. They are not working well, okay? And this kind of infiltration has been using the mouthpieces of these celebrities to infiltrate into Taiwan. The fourth idea is about the politics, the political side. You see the politics in China are very of Taiwan are very complicated. DPP, the Democratic Progressive Party, who is now the ruling party of Taiwan. Of course, many parties are infiltrated, especially DPP are infiltrated. But more seriously, you can see different parties might have CCP spies into it, especially in KMT side. Okay, and we'll see blue, white, and green. We have blue. We have the Kuomintang. Okay, and then we have the white. We have the Kuomintang is a nationalist party, and white we have the Taiwan People's Party. Okay, and also we have green with the DPP. And these three parties are the three key parties in Taiwan. Green are earning more seats now, blue the second, and white the third. These three parties are really, each of them might have spies into those parties. And you can see, according to one of the espionage, one of the spies that has surrendered himself to Australia, and this guy is called Wang Liqiang. Wang Liqiang has exposed that for 2020 presidential election of Taiwan, CCP has exerted great influence to really supported Han Kuo-yu to make sure that he would win the election. And when this investigation by the Taiwanese prosecution office against the Wang Liqiang An, he will see Wang Liqiang has used Hong Kong registered China Innovation Investment Fund to really get the funding for those who are the supporters of the Han Kuo-yu camp when Han Kuo-yu is running the office of the Taiwanese presidential election back in 2 years ago. And one of those people is called Xiang Xin, Heng Sam, and this one husband and one wife. Okay, they are being prosecuted by the national security law of Taiwan. They were now being restricted from moving out of Taiwan. And Wang Liqiang, when he surrendered himself to Australia, Wang Liqiang has disclosed 9 different tactics that China has used against Taiwan. Number one, they built up a military army, but it's not a web army. Okay, they use these people to really get some disinformation into Taiwan. They have opened around 200,000 fake accounts in different parts of the Taiwan. Taiwanese have used Facebook a lot. Okay, Facebook, IG very much. So they have opened a lot of different accounts to really get this information out there in Taiwan, and a lot of new fan pages, and also their target is to pinpoint against Taiwan. The second thing is to buy the media. For example, they will use the money to lure the IT company of Taiwan and also media of Taiwan have spent around 1.5 billion renminbi and to make advertisements into different different parts of Taiwan. Number three is they really want to pinpoint about the universities, schools of Taiwan, and to get these heads in their mindsets into the China side. And it's not just how they use it, like they have mainland China students and Hong Kong students as well who are pro CCP, and they use them to infiltrate into the universities or schools of Taiwan. Number four is about the temples and also some worship places, because they have a lot of interactions between the temples of Taiwan and mainland China. And they have arranged those worshippers to get to China for meals, entertainments, and also ask them to go back to Taiwan and to promote Hanguoyu, for example. It's not Hanguoyu is just an example. It's not just him. Okay, so it is one example they do it. Number five is the kind of set up some restaurants, yes, in Taiwan, and make sure that they open up and can be a place of gathering for those espionages. And also, you can see like some web IT company, they have used these locations to open up companies here in Taiwan. Number six is to infiltrate into the basic level of the civil society of Taiwan. For example, they asked some village chairmen to get to China, meals, entertainment, and come back to Taiwan to do their own job for CCP. Number seven is they want to really get fundings through different levels, different layers of indirect channels for Hanguoyu. And Wang Liqiang has disclosed that it's more than 20 million renminbi that the money has gone to Hanguoyu camp. Number eight is that they would like to fund pro CCP kind of pro CCP um, pro CCP KMT officers who are running the office. Okay, they are candidates. Okay, and number nine is about the motive is to get rid of the DPP influence or Tsai Ing-wen in the 2020 election. So these are the things that they want to target at. So their way of doing it is very stunning, and you see this is one of them, and they use a lot of lust and also methods to make sure people are really awakened by in that mode. Number five is about the economy. For the economy side, you will see the Far East Group of Taiwan, Yuandong集团, their boss is Xu Xudong, Cui Yukdong, and this guy has been opening up a lot of department stores in Taiwan like Sogo, and have a lot of investments in China. Sogo department store has been in China as well. So Xu Xudong has been embracing the One China policy and 1992 consensus. But the point is, this Xu Xudong has been um, giving some money and political money offerings to different camps of the Taiwanese politics, both for DPP candidates for the legislature and also the KMT candidates for the legislature. and CCP is aware of it. So what has CCP done is to investigate into this Xu Shudong's investment in China, whether there is any tax evasion, whether there is any environmental problem. And they want to pinpoint on that is that I use this as this excuse to send a very clear warning against Xu Shudong and also deterrence against many Taiwanese businessmen that if you want to invest into China, you need to stay away from TPP, not to give any penny or any money, any dollar to any TPP members. And of course, Xi Jinping is taking the trick to say, I would like to be bipartisan support of different things in Taiwan. So when some are elected, then they can get me up and also support me. And CPP say, no, okay, you cannot do this. You can only err on the CPP supporter side. You cannot support any TPP members. And overall, you will see that in the past decade, I think there's a shift into the ideology of CPP. Back in 20 years ago, those who are not supporting Taiwanese independence are proclaiming the independence of Taiwan. Those who are not the supporters of them, they are the potential supporters of CCP. And CCP would like to lure you into their camp. It's in the Deng Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin, and Hu Jintao's era, especially before 2008. And after 2008, there's a gradual shift of their own focus. The new tactic or way of thinking is that if you do not support unification, you are blended as Taiwanese independence activists. Okay, only when you support unification, then you are on my side. Okay, if you support, they push you out and see you as enemy, and you say these are Taiwanese people. These people do not support unification, and these are my enemies, and they want to push through it. Whether you embrace the title of Republic of China or a new Republic of Taiwan, this is not their concern. From CCP side, you are the Taiwanese independence activists. If you see in this way, more than 96 or 97% of the people here, more than 23.5 million people here in Taiwan are the enemies of the CCP. And this kind of shift of way of thinking, CCP has tightened the screw, not just on the kind of lure you into the camp to attract you by money. No, they give you the money not to attract you on their side. It's to give you the money to do their job, to break up and also to segregate the Taiwanese kind of harmony and also this sovereign country. So this is the way that how they do it in this way. And economy is very important because there's a lot of Taiwanese businessmen now residing in China. It's more than 1 million. It's like 2 million people at least. They're Taiwanese businessmen residing in China. And these people, they have grouped up these people into a called 全国台湾同胞投资企业联谊会, which is all China Taiwanese investment enterprise kind of clubhouse. Okay, and this kind of association is monitored by the CCP directly. Okay, so these are controlled, and when there's an election, they will send these people back to Taiwan to vote and ask them to vote in a secret ballot. Okay, they want to monitor how they do it, and of course they're weak in monitoring it, but they would like these people to send back to Taiwan to vote when there's an election for those people who are supporting a harmony with CCP. Number 6 is called the Gong Miao. Okay, this temples, the religion, and you see Taichung Dajia Zhennan Gong, okay, who are headed by the Yan family, the black camp of the Taiwanese, the central part of Taiwan. They use this kind of Zhennan Gong because this is a very special temple. This temple has been getting a lot of influence in China because every year before the COVID session, every year there's been some visit by this temple with the Meizhou, okay, also in the Fujian region because they have a module There's a goddess who is cross-strait, and this goddess have been migrated from Fujian to Taiwan here. So when there's every year there have been some activities and a whole ceremony that they will get this goddess to get around Taiwan in the whole town of Taiwan and also get back to China. And so these people they're presiding this Zhenangong has been getting a lot of monies. It's not just for these local religious factions and even Buddhism, for example. They are heavily infiltrated by the CCP influence. Okay, when you see about the Xingyun, okay, Fo Guangshan in Kaohsiung, they are really saying no bad words about China because many of the money have been interacting with the CCP camp. So you see the infiltration of about the religion is one of them. Okay, number 7 is about the youth, is the young people of Taiwan. And you see back in 2018, there are around 19 measures that they want to encourage people to study, to work, to also create their own business in Taiwan and also in China. If they get into China, even you do not get a passport or ID card or PLC, they will give you a card called 港澳台居民居民证, which is a resident of Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. They have a residential card, and they will receive social security benefits and also benefits for getting a job there. And even if you do not have a household, no problem. You can reside there. So you get a kind of motivation that the people will see this China as one of their homes and to blur the psychological kind of hindrances to accept China and also create the kind of cooked up, conjured up kind of mirage that CCP has been exerting sovereignty against Taiwan. So this kind of very tiny but important infiltration into the mindset of the people have been ongoing. And the eighth dimension is everyone else. Okay, for example, there have been a hawker in Taiwan. This hawker has been doing some. He sold face masks and also gifts in Jiayi. Okay, and they opened up a small store within the Heilongjiang, the Daqing city. There's a 太平洋时尚城. Okay, Pacific Ocean Fashion Center in this city. He sold only some fried chicken and sausages, and somehow some of the people from Nanjing Xianling Daxue visited this Taiwanese store in Heilongjiang, and this Nanjing National Security Bureau infiltrated into the mindset, drink wines with him, give money to him, and he understood that this guy has been working in the government in Taiwan quite well and has been in touch with the bodyguards system of Tsai. He is not a bodyguard, he's not an ex-bodyguard, but he knows people in Taiwan. So he gives money to him to infiltrate into the Taiwanese system to get some secret intelligence information about like the army, the air force of Taiwan, and also each year you guess how much money he gives him? It's just very little money. It's 20,000 new Taiwan dollars each year. And he wants this guy to go back to Taiwan from time to time, meet with his friends who have served the Taiwanese government to get the money out. So it's including army and Falun Gong information to get all this money in. So in the past, in Taiwan, there's a saying that 匪谍就在你身边. Okay, so it's called the CCP spies is beside you, is watching out you. Okay, and this is now still valid here in Taiwan. And there are many people. There are so many cases here. And the problem statement is the is lack of real legislation and real laws to really tighten the screw to penalize those who are serving CCP for infiltration purpose. There is a newly enacted anti-infiltration law in Taiwan. In the past and also nowadays, there are three laws, namely in the criminal code, in the national security law, and also national security protection law. But they are too far lenient when compared with the international standard. We will see this kind of infiltration will not stop right away, and is there in Taiwan. And last but not least, you will see it's not just for these 8 aspects. You will see that how is the Hong Kong factor in Taiwan. Okay, Taiwan has been embracing quite a number, quite a lot of Hong Kong new immigrants from Hong Kong because of the 2019 kind of campaign that you see 反送中, okay, anti-extradition movement. There have been a lot of youngsters, a lot of middle-aged or even oldies migrated here in terms of special permit to stay or study or investment. They migrate here and they want to be here as a resident and later become a citizen of Taiwan. So if you ask me a few questions as to how I see into this kind of trend is that every year there are more than 10,000 accepted. It's not just applicants, it's successful applicants that can reside in Taiwan every year. Reside means they are becoming the residents of Taiwan. They can enjoy the work permit here in Taiwan. They can really enjoy the health benefits here in Taiwan. It is similar to being a citizen, okay, a national of Taiwan, except that you cannot vote. You cannot vote in the public elections. Apart from it, it's quite similar, okay, especially those who are now studying in Taiwan, for those youngsters. And these youngsters, they have the right to work, but during the school days, they can only work part-time. After the school days, they can work on full-time scale, okay? And they can enjoy the benefits here. And every year, successful applicants, that they are accepted as residents in Taiwan is more than 10,000. And also for successful applicants for permanent residence, that is the citizenship, which means that they're national in Taiwan. Okay, because for Hong Kong people here, they do not have a PR thing, which is similar to the foreigners. They just give them the passport. Okay, it's more than 1,500. It's 1,500. So it's a small scale when compared with those residents. But residence is already here in Taiwan. So the question is whether or not there are any infiltration activities being asserted here. Okay, so I would say it's very likely. Okay, and I do not want to talk about the status here in a very blunt mode here in this clubhouse, but the point is it has been the case here. Okay, so we will see the Taiwanese government are tightening the screw of national security against those people who are from Hong Kong. Okay, and not to mention, it's not just for those middle-aged and oldies, but for those youngsters who are pretended, okay, as a student here. They might be a student plus a helper of CCP to collect information. Okay, even if they dress up as kind of past contestants, past people who are on the streets of Hong Kong fighting against the government in 2019. Not too into it that because you are youngster, you are young people, then you will not be a spy. I think it's a wrong perception. It can be the case, and it has been the case. Okay, so I think these are things that we need to be very careful about all these things, even in your own country, even in US, in Canada, in Australia, and England, and even the UK, Scotland, whatever. You will need to watch out on all these things. It's not so clear on the face. And number two, there's a recent case called Hu Haibo. Hu Haibo is he swam, okay, swimming to Taiwan last year, and he swam from what from Xiamen, the Fujian Xiamen, to Taiwan Jinmen is an island just next to Xiamen, and he is a illegal kind of immigrant into Taiwan. And when he reached Taiwan, he said that he is a supporter of the Hong Kong anti-extradition movement, and gave a lot of Taiwanese government a lot of photos and proof that he has been participating in that movement, like some photo shots when he was in the streets in Hong Kong when there's a great protest and or a rally. So these are the proof that he has been participated in the Hong Kong anti-extradition movement. Later on, you will see he want to apply for political asylum here in Taiwan. And there's no political asylum law in Taiwan, but a system that can get special permit here to stay in Taiwan. So he want to apply for this special permit to be a resident in Taiwan. And the Taiwanese government investigated about him and found out that this guy is really very strange. We cannot tell whether he's a spy or not. But the point is, he can go around nearly every office to quack, okay, every office of legislature, regardless of DPP, KMT, and everyone, to make a huge propaganda about how he suffered in Hong Kong, how the Taiwanese government is not helping him, and then make a big outcry out of it. And you will see his connections are really brave, and it's not easy. And you know what? Because it's public news, it's not secret, okay? A few days ago, I think just less than a month ago, Taiwanese government has made a decision to deport him back to Hong Kong, back to China, to get rid of him all the way. So send him to the plane and bye-bye. Because the Taiwanese government see this as a national security threat, okay? So this kind of PRC national saying that he has participated in the anti-extradition bill movement in Hong Kong back in 2019, claimed to be seeking the de facto political asylum here in Taiwan, will lead to nowhere, because the Taiwanese government would like to send back these people. And I think this is one of the examples among many that the Taiwanese government had been doing against CCP infiltration into Taiwan. And the situation here is that in Taiwan, we have a great awareness of where we are, and also great awareness we need to counteract against CCP influence. Many youngsters that I know have been studying here quite well. They want to be part of the camp of Taiwan. They want to be a Taiwanese national in the next decade, because they need to study and to work quite a number of years before they can get the citizenship. But they are willing to fight together. This is the fault that we have against CCP. If you see other countries, they are more than several time zones away from Hong Kong/China. So in Taiwan, we can have instant news in the same time zone, and we are very close to China. So whoever who is staying here in Taiwan, they need to face the risk of the invasion of CCP against Taiwan. But they want to keep up the fire and to strike till the end. So I would give a lot of blessings and support for these people here in Taiwan. And also, we will need to talk more about the CCP infiltration in Taiwan as well, because for these 8 dimensions, it's not just all inclusive, okay? There are many other things as well in the full play. What I talk here is about the public news that I've got, but I think this is something recently happening in Taiwan. This really very detrimental. But I think the Taiwanese government would need to tighten up their policy and their laws to combat against CCP infiltration. Otherwise, this will lead to nowhere. And we know that, for example, in the past, there has been Shunfeng Express, and nowadays it's Shunfeng Express, and also Carry Logistics. And these two kind of business units, they are conjured up as Hong Kong companies. And you know what? In Taiwan, nowadays they still see Hong Kong companies as foreign investment, and they have a lenient scrutiny against these companies before they get into Taiwan. They can invest into Taiwan. If you are a PLC company, you can have no way to be in Taiwan. But you know, Sunfeng, this kind of PLC company, have opened up a Hong Kong company and use this Hong Kong company to invest into Taiwan. And you can know that Sunfeng Express is the cheapest, the most inexpensive means to do local or international courier. So many people have given their personal information when they do the courier in Taiwan, overseas. So there have been a great collection of personal information of Taiwanese by these companies. So this is one way how the CCP collect information. Of course, if you want to prove it, it's hard, but there's a great suspicion about that. So when there's an invasion of Taiwan, CCP can get a lot of information, and the Taiwanese government is too late to stop this. If they want to stop this, they need to stop this now, change the law, and to be awakened. We always have a lot because I'm the president of the Taiwan Hong Kong Association. We have been collaborating with several other kind of NGOs in Taiwan to really push through kind of an initiative to amend the laws of Taiwan, not to recognize bluntly Hong Kong companies as foreign companies. They can approve easily. But if these Hong Kong companies are de facto PLC companies or CCP controlled companies, then we should say bye-bye to these companies. Okay? We need to amend the law quite well and to watch out for how the things are going on in Taiwan. So above is the presentation today, my presentation about the CCP infiltration. And welcome your questions and also any comments about my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Sean Paul. This is very impactful and very intensive. So we're gonna take a really short break, and but due to time constraint, I'm now going to open up for questioning. Please send all your questions to Mariana, and then we're gonna filter those questions. And after the 5 minute break, we're gonna come back and we're gonna do the Q&A after this. So thank you for your patience, and please come back after 5 minutes. We'll take a short break. Thank you so much.
Hey, hello, John. How are you?
Oh,
Nice
I'm
to
doing
meet you.
nice to meet you too. Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for coming.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. This is a very interesting subject. I'm very passionate about Taiwan's freedom.
Oh, I'm so glad you can make it. In the meantime, in this 5 minutes break, I just kind of want to catch up and introduce you to the audience. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself? So let us know more about you, and then maybe next time you can be the host.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. As far as my interest in Taiwan, the reason that I'm so passionate about it is, um, I kind of see there's some parallels between kind of Taiwan and the origin of the United States. You know, there was like this big hegemonic power threatening to control everything, and then it's kind of like a ragtag group of guys in the U.S. that kind of rebelled against the big authority, you know, and I know it's not exactly the same thing, but I just see the same type of courage in the Taiwanese people standing up to the giant, you know, the David and Goliath situation that America had. It's the same thing with Taiwan. And I think that it gives me hope for the future and faith in human nature. But as far as like, you know, what I do, I work in genetics and diagnosing infectious disease, so that, you know, things like COVID won't happen again. We have a universal infectious disease diagnostic system. And we were really impressed with how Taiwan responded to the coronavirus, by the way. Anyway, this is John, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you so much. Now I'm taking back to Ubisoft if you're ready for the Q&A. And if anybody interested any Q&A, I haven't seen anybody send me the questions. So if you want to come up, please raise your hand and Baby Soul will be ready for that. And thank you, Jean Paul. It's giving us such a dramatic information. I know about Taiwan, but trust me, after hearing more and more, I'm just shocked. So thank you so much for all the audience coming tonight, and I really appreciate everybody help in here. And if you have any question, you're welcome to send it to me or send it to BabySoft. But I'm definitely more helpful because BabySoft is the host tonight, and I'm sure Mr. Shampoo will be happy to answer some of the questions. Hi, Ansel, how are you tonight?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you for asking. And actually, I do have a question for Sample. And then, is it possible that I just ask directly because it's kind of long questions that I don't know whether it's like, no, I can write it clearly to you.
Esther, that's fine. Right now we not yet receive any questions, and we're ahead of time. So go ahead, please.
Yeah, the question is that, as far as I know that, since Donald Trump kind of like stopped the Confucius School in United States 2 years ago, that the wave of change in all the foreign countries, like a lot of countries follow Donald Trump's step to stop the Confucius School. That I will that the how should I say um that the in United States, Canada, they are kind of have a resurgence of traditional Chinese because most of the people I think would know that the CCP China is using simplified Chinese, and the Taiwan and Hong Kong is using the traditional Chinese. There's a resurgence of traditional Chinese in United States and Canada, etc. And in fact, this news is published by the Tianxia magazine of Taiwan. So my question is that for Taiwan, that does Taiwan have some kind of like a Confucius school that kind of like influence Taiwan's like language, or you know uh uh like forcing Taiwanese people to use simplified Chinese. As a Hong Konger, I know that Hong Kong has been kind of like forced to use simplified Chinese now by the CCP, and then so I'm just wondering about the Taiwanese example.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Atso. Okay. Thanks also, John, for your comments. Okay. Let me answer can you I speak now because it's after the 5 minutes time, right? So I can speak the freely. Um, I answer two questions. One is about the COVID-19 session, and one is about the resurgence of traditional Chinese language and the simplified Chinese kind of education thing. For the COVID-19 free, it's I can say in this way. There are two different tactics by different governments according to their national situation against this pandemic. For example, in Taiwan, we will see that the number of patients here in Taiwan, the number is small, okay? and the number is like every day the kind of newly infected people is less than 100. It's less than how many? It's less than, even less than 50. So some days it's less than 20. And for example, yesterday it's like 43 or whatsoever. So if you compare with the 23.5 million people here, then infected people are few. So what their tactic is, their means is to lower to zero, but their target is not to lower to zero. And DPP nowadays have launched some polls in Taiwan whether we can coexist with the virus. And you know what? Many people want to coexist with the virus. If you ask the same question half a year ago, the Taiwanese people do not want it. The Taiwanese people want to block off all the borders to do it. But nowadays, when the injection rate in Taiwan for those the vaccine, okay, is around 70% for 2 doses, and for 3 doses is around 18%. I remember. So you can see that the kind of confidence, okay, of Taiwanese people against this virus are building up. Okay, so they use a method to stop the border, but they know ultimately they want to loosen the border. It's more than half of people want to loosen the border because they keep the business running. People will laugh at Bojo about his activity in the UK, but ultimately you see this is the way ahead. He can be jumping the gun and doing very quickly, but the point is we need to coexist, especially when you see the Omicron has been having a much lower fatal rate. Then fatality rate drops. Then you need to also drop as well, according policy, and we need to coexist with this virus. The fatal rate of Taiwan is close to zero here because the infected rate is very low. So the Taiwanese government is doing one thing is that temporarily they want to keep the policy to Qingling to 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 make sure to minimize down to zero. Okay, but the point is this is only a measure. It's not an objective. When you look back in Hong Kong, they use this as a cult, as an ideology to make sure everything is 000 by whatever means. The means is the key. The objective is one thing, but the means they do it is one thing. In the Taiwan, we can speak very freely in Taiwan, and to have meals in the restaurants. We need to put on a mask when we go out in the public space, in the outdoor. But indoor, we can take off the mask and eat. After eating, we need to put on the mask again. There's a law, okay, whatever. But you see the masking is very sensitive in the European world, for example. But in Taiwan, we need to wear the mask. But the point is that everyone is very happy. We have restaurants opening as usual. Schools, all the offices, they can have flexible working hours. For example, some of my friends working in Taiwan, especially MNCs, they see every week 3 days to work in office. The other 2 days you can choose to work at home, usually in that mode. Okay, and it's very free. We can visit different places, drive cars, and visit the public transport all the way. So that's the brilliant way of Taiwan here nowadays, and it's very good. Okay, and the second question from Aso is about the language, the resurgence of the traditional Chinese language in the Western world. In Taiwan, I would say the impact of simplified Chinese language of Taiwan is minimal. When you look upon the media, okay, I think you switch on the TV and watch those programs. I think you cannot receive any simplified Chinese information. Everything is in the traditional Chinese in the same manner. But there have been some kind of trend in some schools or universities in Taiwan. For example, I have accepted some information for some second tier or third tier universities in Kaohsiung, for example. And these schools, when the teachers are from China or studied in China, they teach about movies, for example. I have received information. This is a faculty about the movies, taking the movies and videoing. And when they write the blackboard, okay, they are using simplified Chinese to print out the handouts and simplified Chinese to write on the board. And some of the Hong Kongers who studied in that school have told me that, wow, it's awkward because I pay so much and then it's similar to I'm studying in mainland China. So you see some force and some kind of infiltrated factors have been there in Taiwan, but not yet in full swing mode that everyone in Taiwan are feeling that. Even for me, I have attended a lot of kind of TV shows about the speaking about the news and also comment on the politics of Taiwan and also Hong Kong, China, and international world. We all use traditional Chinese. Okay, every uh, logo, every kind of caption they are used in traditional Chinese is very clear. Newspaper, I think you cannot see people's daily here in Taiwan. No, okay, you can see in the library, for example, some dedicated schools, but you cannot buy people's daily or even magazines of simplified Chinese here. So the situation here in Taiwan are far safer than in Hong Kong. But this needs efforts to really keep the language and the culture because language is the key for identity. And if you do not keep the language, then your identity will be strong. And it's not just to protect the beauty of a language, it's for keeping the identity and anti-infiltration, anti kind of this uh, kind of hegemony of CCP against Taiwan. So I think that's the reason why we're still standing strong and hard in Taiwan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think Howard is here, and Howard, do you have a question? Hello, Howard.
Yeah. Well. Well, I'm come from Taiwan. I'd like to share my opinions about it. Well, I think for China infiltrations in Taiwan is pretty obvious for several years within what we could see in many places. Um, what I have seen this is not that China is not as as we see the our political party. We have KMT and DPP. KMT is leaning for China. DPP is leaning for Taiwan independence. I think for some political reasons, many people will see that the KMT have leaned much more towards China because of their logistics. But what I have seen is pretty different. I think it's because that many Taiwanese businessmen who is coming from China, they donate fund to KMT. So right now we have we have a two party. The one that who supports China, KMT, is hugely because that's the political funds from China, and that is what we couldn't say that that we are a truly democratic country because that we have China they have the economic might, they have the business infiltration to Taiwan for sure, and this is the our political system. We have a very different strong neighbors, economic neighbor with their political powers that could infiltrate us. And for so many years that we have China that block us from connections with the Western world. So we couldn't join some economic regions systems like CPTPP or RCEP or other kinds of economic system, regional economic systems that prevents us to connect with the Western world normally, like as you say, Hong Kong, Singapore, because we have the system that's denied by China. So for many years, we don't have the normal economic systems like other normal countries or other normal regions. So what I have seen is that if we want to deter the China infiltration, we have to build a normalized connections with the Western world. That is what I see is very critical and very important for Taiwan's future. That is my opinions towards it. Thanks.
Thank you, Howard. Mr. Song, my question is referring to Howard. Do you see that Taiwan is having a stronger connection to the international world? Like, would it be able to join, for example, WTO? Is America supporting Taiwan currently?
Yeah, that's a $1 million question. I think thanks Howard and also for HKD to speak up on this point. Normalizing the relationship of the national status of Taiwan, okay, with the outside world, regardless whether you see this as Republic of China or Taiwan. Okay, to me, I see this as interchangeable concept. Okay, when you want to nationalize to normalize the relationship with the outside world, then what should you do? We say normalize the relationship with whom? You want to please China and America at the same time. And if you say normalize is to do it at the same time, the answer is you have no way to do it because it's contradictory. You want to normalize the relationship with the free world. I think that's the way that we can do it. And the reason is that many people have said Taiwan is being used as a chip by the US against China. Okay, but the point is Taiwan is not in a mode that we can really stay away from this impact or influence. The reason is we are small, okay, and we cannot say okay we can stay away from it and want to be equals, playing equals with everyone. If a strong power like the US are standing up in the free world, and we can work hand in hand with the free world, okay, to counteract against the uh, autocracy camp. For example, those you can see Russia and China. I think we are now hand in hand together to do the same thing. We might be seen as a chip of the US to play against China, but the point is, what we want is to escalate the status of Taiwan. Escalation means a few folds. One fold is the economy side, whether we can be more assimilated into the international business system, like what you said is CPTPP. Okay, I know even the Biden administration wants to stay away from CPTPP, but at least Japan is heading it, and we need to build strong ties between Taiwan and the U.S. and Taiwan and Japan. I think that's very important. If you want normalization of activities, we need to really build strong ties with these allies. And secondly, military side. Okay, military side, whether there's any kind of trainings or kind of ammunition sale and purchase, and even whether there's any idea that the U.S. Army would like to station in Taiwan in whatever fashion. These are things that can be put onto the agenda to discuss, and ultimately, it's about the recognition of the national status of Taiwan, and also to make sure that there's a common kind of military pact, okay, between the free world to support Taiwan, step by step, okay, to normalize these activities. And we see I'm quite neutral as to the different ideas of like Republic of China or Taiwan. Okay, I would not be neutral. I have my own stance, but I think I would not keep a comment on that now in this forum. But the point is, if the China, okay, wants to give money to whatever camp, whether it's KMT or DPP, those who take it should be vulnerable to being penalized in Taiwan. I think that's very clear. It's regardless of blue, white, or green. It's regardless of your activity. If what you have been doing is to allow or facilitate China infiltration into Taiwan, they should be heavily penalized. It's not in the lenient way as of now as to the legislation in Taiwan. So uh, I think I appreciate what Howard has said. Okay, I think it is exactly the thing that we need to um, make sure that we normalize, or even nowadays there's a new saying in Taiwan. It's not just the normalization, okay, 正常化国家 normalization of our country. It's build up a unique country, 独特国家 you need to build up a unique country of Taiwan to make sure that this country is unique from the perspective of the free world. Okay, it's unique because of its advantages of scientific innovation, especially in the chip industry, and also unique in a way that they can have more flexibility of international influence into Taiwan, and also to build up an oceanic state. In the past, I think back in 1980s, there have been a famous intellectual called Su Xiaokang, and he is now still residing in the States. He said about two kinds of civilization. One is called, um, they use the word yellow soil, okay? It's called continental civilization. And also, the other thing is a blue ocean, this oceanic uh, civilization. Oceanic civilization needs to be more embracing the world, free and fair trade, and also make sure the people obey the rules to abide by the laws to do the things is a rule of law, while the continental civilization needs to rely on interpersonal relationship and also the rule of people, rule of power. So Taiwan civilization, Taiwan culture need to embrace more and more oceanic civilization and culture. And so we need to step up to the world. What I'm caring most is the culture part, okay, of Taiwan. It's not just a system or kind of specific political figure. It's how we can, in the system, in our mindset, to really embrace the world. I think language is the key. I think if Taiwan, in the long run, they can launch English education from kindergarten or even from primary number one, from primary form one, then this will help to uh, step up the international perspective and exposure of Taiwanese people, especially language is the key. When I look back into Hong Kong, because I come from Hong Kong, so in Hong Kong, I studied language, English language ever since my kindergarten, from ABCDE, and also a lot of conversations starting from there. And when you look at Singaporeans, they can speak English very well. If Taiwanese people can really appreciate this thing from decades after decades, I think Taiwanese can build up a great country that can be assimilated in terms of mindset together with the external world. I think that's the goal that I think nowadays the leaders in Taiwan are now foreseeing. Okay, for example, you see Lai Ching-te has been pushing forward for English education starting from kids. Okay, so I think this one way that we need to more embracing these kind of initiatives. And I think from time to time, I have a very optimistic view about the future of Taiwan. And the threat of the PLA, the Liberation Army of Taiwan, is still existent. But I don't think this existence now would create an alarming bell that nowadays this year that they will invade Taiwan. Maybe in short term or mid term, maybe the threat is there, but I don't think that nowadays they have a real threat against Taiwan. And if you do the poll in Taiwan, it's more than 50% of the people do not believe that there's a war. And if they even believe the war, I think 天下杂志 have launched a poll saying that more than 58% of people would say America would back Taiwan. And if America really back Taiwan, okay, it's unlike the Ukraine situation. If they really back Taiwan, then the situation will be quite different because uh, Xi Jinping is making a big gamble for the power struggle before the Earth. And this big gamble, he will ultimately lose if he wants to invade Taiwan nowadays this year. So I would say Taiwan is still safe, and I don't think we will need to worry too much about that, especially for this year. But the key is we need to uh, ask for more, okay, strive for more, and to really build up a stronger nation. And I think this is the way that we can hand in hand do together and to stand with Hong Kong, stand with Taiwan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have some new speaker here. Is anybody, Chris or Hung KHC? Do we like to have any questions? We probably running into the last section. So if you, Chris, would like to have a question or?
Um, Xinqi, please go ahead. Yes.
Thanks,
Okay,
Maria.
thank you.
So I have a very short question. Mr. Sun, I listened to your presentations since probably the beginning of until now, and there are many things that you have said really surprised me, and I started to look up some of the sources that related to what you have spoken. My question for you is there a place where I can find lots of references to what you have spoken about?
Okay, thank you, Xinqi. I would say I collect all this information from public sources. I read Chinese quite well, so from Liberty Times to even from the several big newspapers in Taiwan. They have all these things in the public news. You can search on the web. And I know that there are some NGOs doing some more crystallized put things together on their website. But at least what I know that they are most in Chinese language. So I would say there's a gap between the Western world, how they recognize and to see into Taiwan, from those who are now we are Taiwanese to see into Taiwan. So uh, I would encourage more kind of translation and greater platforms who can from time to time to publicize all these news all together. And I would say there's no central source of resource that you can take it once and for all because it's rolling. But you can watch out for more newspapers. Okay, there's news media on the website. For example, I would say, let me see. There's some Western. I think Andrew Nathan. There's a famous article about not just sharp power, and the Reuters is the foreign news agency who has a very big long article about T-Day. T stands for Taiwan. T-Day, the battle for Taiwan. And this is an article is out there in the news. And when you look upon the media side and also the politics side, it's all in the public sphere. So you can search by the word infiltration, CCP infiltration, or even by Taiwan. You can see a lot of different cases. Bro, Wang Liqiang, you can search on the website. So I think these are the things that people can do it on your own. Okay, and many people do not care about this is because it's not on the headline news. Headline news we always say about Ukraine, right? We always say about Biden and Trump. Okay, you see all these headline news, but you will not see headline news in this kind of very important topic. Okay, For example, in Taiwanese, the headline news will be like the Gongtou, the referendum that we have had in the last year. Okay, and also headline news is about all different kind of political figures thing around. Okay, in Taichung or different areas, but they do not focus on this thing. They focus on COVID-19. But the COVID-19 situation is not so great in Taiwan as in many countries. Okay, so I think the Taiwan media would need to refocus their their angle as to three things. One, military preparation, and also national defense initiative and ideology of the citizens of Taiwan to make sure that they have an SOP if there's a war. You see Switzerland, you see Sweden, they are well prepared for a war. It's not to fight the other, but to defend ourselves. The second thing is about the foreign policy of Taiwan, whether we need to pro-CCP, embrace one China, or to be standing together with free world. The third thing is about CCP infiltration. It's the topic that we're having here. I think these are the three top topics. But you know, these three topics will not attract much votes and ballots because these three topics are so important, and people will not cast the ballot because of these things. They will cast the ballot because of their well-being, because of some propaganda, or even for some interesting news of some politicians. But these are the three topics that I think are very important. So I would like people, if they're interested in the topic, nowadays we need to make an effort on our own to search on the website and also to ask the people. The good thing about Taiwan is that I meet with several good professionals or even um, good professors here in Taiwan. Okay, we have Wu Ren here, we have Wu Jianming Jiao, and they are very good researchers on this topic. When you read their articles, you will see a lot of different news, and there are a lot of books in the Taiwanese bookstores. For example, there's a new book called 吊灯里的巨蟒. There's a huge snake who is now in the chandelier. Okay, and then you will see that you do not see it, but then they bite you. They will bite you. So there's a lot of China factors who is in full swing nowadays in Taiwan. It's back a few years ago, so they have no updated information as to what I'm having here to share with you. But what I've shared with you is the latest information in the past few months. That's what Taiwan has been facing. And hopefully, this will ask those English-speaking world to have a different perspective about Taiwan. And I know HKD has been launching quite a number of series about CCP infiltration. One about Taiwan, one about Canada, one about Australia. So I think that you can hear more news from different speakers on this topic. But for Taiwan, I think is quite all-rounded infiltration. Okay, it's not just focused on one or two topics, but in different spheres of Taiwan. So it is an alert to be sending to the Western world. What will it will become if we do not call a stop on these activities? And I don't think Taiwan nowadays have 孔子学院, Confucius Academy. No, I don't think they have a 孔子学院 at all. Okay, and even they do not have a 中联办 here in Taiwan at all. At least an office in Taiwan at all. No. But the point is, they are using these kind of agents to do their job, individual agents to do their job, and this kind of way is quite different from Canada, because in Canada, in Australia, in the UK, in the States, they have a 中领馆, an embassy, okay, ambassador and embassy. All those people, they can rear up a huge bunch of camp of infiltrators there. In Taiwan, they do not have kind of there's a lawfully there's no kind of a system established in Taiwan. Okay, but the point is they have secret kind of lines of people to control these agents in Taiwan. So the de facto result will be the same. Okay, but the system, the setup will be different. So we need to watch out for different setups that has been happening in different countries, and also be aware of the fact that the CCP is not a normal country. Okay, they have an ambition to spread their impact and hegemony for the whole world. Okay, it's not they conjure up with the kind of a nationalism as their own way of speaking the thing, but nationalism is not the key. Hegemony and also the control of the whole mankind is their key. If we watch out for that, then we have a different way of thinking through the things. If you see this is a country that's um, is another kind of Putin, I think we missed the point. Okay, CCP is not working in the way what Putin is thinking about. It's working on the way what the Emperor Qin is thinking about. It's thinking about to conquer the whole world. Till the end of the world, it becomes part of China influence, and they want to revive the ancient glory of so-called ancient China. And I think this is something that we need to stop this mummy from getting into our lives daily. And that's the reason I'm speaking it out in this forum. Thank you.
So, Sun, the reason I asked the
Sorry,
question,
actually, do you mind if I can pass the mic to Chris because she is about to leave and I think she has some questions for us, Mr. Song. So, and then I'll get back to you. I'm sorry about that, Chris. Do you have any question?
Thank you for Joseph and HKD for inviting me. And first, I would like to say, Sample, welcome to Taiwan. I've seen a lot of the media interviews that regarding your how you feel about moving to Taiwan, and I wish that you find comfort and stability here. Taiwanese are we are very welcoming people. I myself, I married an expat as well, so he's been living here for 12 years, and um, he's doing fine. I think Mr. Sample, you has made a lot of references on the current Taiwan issues, and I think you and I probably read the same magazine, which is Commonwealth Magazine, this issue in Taiwan. 天下杂志这一期台湾的美国挺台虚与实. If anybody lives in Taiwan at this moment, I very encourage you to pick up the January 12th issue. Yeah, and a lot of the information that Sampo has talked about is covered in here, and of course, Mr. Sampo has elaborated even more. Let me just make a very quick comment. I think we should be aware this is not just about the safety of Taiwan. I think right now it emphasizes the regional stability, which includes all the way to southeast China. I think the U.S. and the allies are fully aware that we are located at the front of the first island chain. So Taiwanese are fully aware that allies, especially the U.S., have increased their dialogue in the past 2 years with Taiwan is because they're really afraid that any little confrontation or anything that is misleading or message that we pass might trigger a war that could be possibly the World War III. However, but the U.S., what they're really afraid of is once Taiwan is being taken over by China, not only is just about the chips, but there is no barriers between China in regards to geopolitics. Is that there is no barrier between China and the United States. So, according to the statistics, like Mr. Sampo says, current Taiwanese prefer the status quo, and we're trying to avoid the war as much as possible. However, we're not afraid to fight one. And Taiwan continues to increase military defense budget from 1.5% of national GDP to 4, which is almost 4 times more than 2021 this year. So we're doing so not because it's because we don't want to depend 100% on other countries because we are capable of establishing a mini defense, at least to deter, if possible, invasion. At least to have a 4 days of blockade, and of course, this is something that we wish we would never have to utilize. Taiwan is just participated in the Biden's Democratic Summit, and countries such as Lithuania and many Euro countries has openly support Taiwan's solidarity. So I think that I would like to just add the last comment here in Atlanta is that the latest news is that U.S. former Secretary of State, Mr. Pompeo, will be visiting Taiwan this March. So I do not foresee China is capable of attacking Taiwan soon, since China is really facing COVID crisis at this moment. But like you have mentioned, we should be careful of their info and also intelligence penetration. And I'm Chris, and I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And uh, Chris has been here several times, and we've talked several times. She has her own room called Taiwan 101. So if you guys want to continue to follow up on what's Taiwan is happening, feel free to actually follow her and join her room. Thank you so much, Chris.
Oh, thank you, thank you for having this room and love the topics that has been discussed here. I'd like to pass the mic to my fellow friend Xingqi. She's also waiting.
Yeah, we've actually this room has been going on for like an hour and 48 minutes. So I think we'll pass the mic back to Xin Qi, and she will be our last person to speak here or ask question to Mr. Sample here. Yep. So feel free to speak, Xin Qi.
So I was about to, the reason that I asked my question is that I heard there's a lot of organizations in Mr. Sun's talk, and you compile quite a bit of information in your talk. And I was curious if you actually have prepared some kind of compilations of all this research that you have done and prepared for today's room, because there's just a lot of information. And at the beginning, you talked about some of the key points, which areas this infiltrations has happened, and it would be great to have some kind of these supporting documents so that all your preparation is not in vain. This is Xingqi. I'm done speaking.
Okay, thank you so much, Sanchi. And I understand that there's still a lot of questions coming in, but due to the time constraint, we're going to wrap this up. Like HKD said, we're already running into an hour and 49 minutes. So if you have any further questions, do send it to us. We always welcome your opinion on any of these. So on behalf of Hong Kong Voice and Hong Kong Democracy, wanted to thank Mr. Shangpao for your guest appearance and for your wonderful presentation tonight, and also all the speakers participation and the audience. Just a friendly reminder that we will have our next event on February the 9th with other guest speakers. Probably you've heard of them before. Bonnie with Hong Kong Pace Queensland, Gloria Fong, Canada Hong Kong Link President. And also, if you like our presentation tonight, please follow the guest speakers and our clubs. This is a collaborative effort of Hong Kong Voice and Hong Kong Democracy and any of the stage speakers. So you'll be notified of next event. Again, I'm your host, Baby Soft, and until next time, so I appreciate everyone's appearance and your contribution in your fight against CCP infiltration, and Hong Kong 加油. And if there's any other speakers want to make a final concluding statement, please go ahead. We will close the room in about 9 minutes.
Yes, just make a final comment about Cincy and Chris. Thank you very much for your very encouraging words. Okay, and I would like to see Cincy's question is very important. Of course, I prepared this presentation. So for this kind of information, I will see whether I can explicate these things into an article in the short term, or even a dedicated kind of videotaped kind of video in the next in the new term, because I have my own YouTube to do so. So that's thing, I think I do not want to lose it in the air, and also make sure things are recorded and you can reference into different sources of information. That's a very good idea, which I need to think through and spare time to do the thing. The other thing is about the Chris. I think remarks are very enlightening. Okay, I think I fully agree with what you said, and I think wish you good luck with your husband here. You've been here in Taiwan for 12 years, and I think I'm very happy. And the kind of remark is by Robert O'Brien in the past few days. He was the former national security advisor of the U.S. And Robert O'Brien made a remark that Taiwan is a cork, a wine cork for the US. If you lose Taiwan, then you lose the US because you break the first island chain. And then this is the key to, it's a threat, it's a stagger. It's really a knife against the US. You have a lot of three different states of a kind of navy fleets, the fleets of the states, like the Reagan fleet in the Honshu Hegang, okay, and you have the other kinds of Carlson, and also different modes of doing things. So
Hey. So I think the key is how to make sure things are really doing in the right way. Is that you lose Taiwan, then you lose the states. If you lose Taiwan, then you lose the break the ties between the U.S. with Japan, Korea, Philippines, Australia, New Zealand. You lose Taiwan, then CCP infiltration can be up to Hawaii, uh, Alaska, and California. And that's not just a warning or just a brave saying. Is that the U.S. have full reason to defend Taiwan. There is a recent poll by, I think there's a research institution at Trafalgar Group that the group has said about the poll about whether the U.S. should defend Ukraine and whether the U.S. should defend Taiwan when they are being invaded. The answer is around 18% of the people thought that U.S. should send troops to defend Ukraine, but there are more than 58% people would say U.S. should send troops to defend Taiwan when CCP invades Taiwan. So the poll shows that the American people are standing together with Taiwan because of the geopolitical difference between Ukraine and Taiwan. So many people would ask, okay, if the Russia invades Ukraine, then whether the CCP would again invade Taiwan, I think the chance will be minimal or close to zero or even zero, because there are a lot of reasons behind that. But of course, no one can guess whether the war would break out. So we need to defend and also to keep up our national security strong. So I fully agree with what Chris and Cynthia said. I think we should keep this information and also to make sure this is speaking loud to the international world and make sure the international world will hear us and to take action against what we should do. It's not to hear us and then go back and sleep, okay? To take action as to what we should be counteracting against the China. I think to stand with Taiwan, protect Taiwan, and defend Taiwan when there's a huge threat is important. Nowadays, the tactic is still 战略模糊 is still strategically unclear, blurred, opaque about the way to do the things in Taiwan. But this kind of thing is getting clearer and clearer in the past few months. And I think this trend should go on in a positive manner. And thank you very much for every audience, every one of you, to hear my voices. And hopefully, I'm not a native speaker in English, but hopefully you can understand me quite clearly. And I would like to also make sure this information will not go out in the air and nothing. I would also want to write articles and also have video recording on all these things separately. Hopefully this will help the entire world to understand the situation of CCP infiltration in Taiwan. Thank you very much for every one of you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sampo. Most definitely, we wanted to spread this to the world about the evil things that CCP is doing. At this time, I think Joseph and Thomas have final concluding comments that they wanted to make before the end of this presentation. Joseph, please go ahead, and Thomas, and then we'll end the room in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay,
Hello,
well,
Joe.
yeah. Okay, while we're waiting for Joel, and yeah, we're gonna end in 3 minutes no matter what. I just want to say thank you again to Mr. Songpo because he didn't hesitate at all to accept our invitations. And last time in the Cantonese room, it was overrun for like 2 hours, and everyone was so exhausted. But I received a lot of comments that his insight, the information that he has been giving, is so amazing, so inspiring to all of us. I just want to say thank you again, and I cannot say like I cannot be more grateful to have him in both of our rooms. Yeah, thank you so much.
Greatly appreciated, Mrs. Shampoo. That was really, really good information. And thank you again. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for your really, truly detailed information. I learned so much from you. And I turn back to Joe, if Joe's back, or Thomas, if you guys have the last comment, and the room will be in 2 minutes.
Thank you
Uh,
very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sang, and as well as our guest speakers who were invited lately from Taiwan. I mean, ethnically Taiwanese, and of course, the Club Hong Kong Voice is not clear just for Hong Kongers. I mean, we have a worldwide view with Hong Kong centric, but when we look at the big picture, we know that there's more than just Hong Kong by itself. There are more surrounding countries that the politics and its politician will have a deep effect um, with the regional security and stability. And that's what our club, Hong Kong Voice, is for. And I encourage everyone to follow our club. If you see the little greenhouse on top of the screen, Hong Kong Voice, 香港聲音, 香港聲音, you see that little greenhouse, you just click it and follow it. And so every time we got a cup or room open, whether it's scheduled or not, you'll be alerted, and you can come right in to express your opinion. You know, Hong Kong Voice motto is let our voice be heard. So do yours. Thank you. And now I yield the mic to Esso before we wrap up for tonight. Thank you. Esso, are you there, or if Mr. Sang want to add something before we wrap up for tonight?
Okay, I think Thomas has the mic mute. Go ahead, Thomas.
Thomas, please. Well, can you hear us? We don't hear a thing from you.
Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna end here. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here, everyone. Next time, also in Hong Kong Voice, we're gonna have Gloria, the president of Canada Hong Kong Link, and also HKPACE member Bonnie to talk about infiltration in Canada and Australia. So stay tuned. It will be on. Actually, I'll update everyone on the time, and so please follow the moderators and also the speakers here. Thank you so much, everyone. So I guess we'll wrap up here, right? Am I correct, Baby Soft? I'll pass it
Ye-
And
back to you.
we're wrapping up, so we'll close the room in 10 seconds. So thank you so much, Sampo, again,
Good night,
and everyone
everybody.
here. Thank
Have
you,
a great day.
Mariana.
Have
Thank
a
you,
great
Joseph.
night. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Good
Have a good
night,
day.
Mr.
Good night.
Shampoo.
Okay, good
Thank
night.
you.
Night.
Thank you very much for everyone of you. Good night.
Bye.
Sorry,
Have a
I
good
always
day.
got. Have a good day. Have a good evening for Baby Soft hosting such a good event.
Yeah.
And we always get the poor connection on Clubhouse. So I'm so sorry. Sometimes Thomas would get the same problem I have. It's a technical problem. So good night. Great job, Baby Soft. And thank you very much, Joe and HKD arrange everything. You all have a good evening.
Okay, until next time. Bye bye.